welcome everybody to episode 62 of the Odyssey Hour. Uh, a little over half the team is here. Thinking Haley is still working and Sam forgot. that's the going theory right now. But three of us are here, which is I think just fine. So welcome everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Good. Okay. So I don't really have any real announcements. nothing to report. I mean, obviously, we're still waiting for the warmer weather, which has not come, much to my chagrin. But I guess another couple days of being freezing is not too bad.
It's not technically freezing.
Very true.
It's right around there, but it's not technically freezing.
Yeah. I think I got asked at least 4 or 5 times today, how are the roads? Like, roads are fine. It's the people on them. That's the issue. But so one of the things that I've been trying to find the right time to throw it in the chat, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but back I don't know if it was the 90s, I don't know if it was early 2000s, but the Simpsons put out a blues album, and it's called Simpsons Sing the Blues, and it's like all original music sung obviously as the Simpsons. And one of the songs, which I absolutely love, no matter how many times I hear it, I still laugh my ass off. And it's Mr. Burns and Smithers singing "Look at All Those Idiots." And it's amazing. And every time there's like any sort of precipitation, there you go. I need to do like those mouth exercises that like singers do, like whoa, 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 you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, that song comes to mind. But anyway, I got to hear it today while I was working, and one of these days I'll put it in there so you guys can hear it, because it is, the whole album surprisingly is amazing. I used to own it and it disappeared with all my other CDs, unfortunately. But you can actually hear the whole thing on YouTube. So naturally. So all right. Now I tried to get Becky in here as filler.
Oh, is she busy?
She's busy. What is this thing with people having lives? It's irritating.
Apparently we're not allowed to have them.
It's not on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. Otherwise, yes, everybody's more than welcome to be entitled to a life, myself included. So, enough stalling. Well, I try to wait for Sam to get in here, but apparently that's not happening. So, who would like to go first here tonight?
I can go first.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome. So I know this question is going to be a super long one, but I know we've kind of talked about it. We didn't really, like, everybody has a different opinion about like what this, like how this possibly works. So I want to pose the question: do you think a spirit can actively haunt more than one location at once? And like, can they kind of move between different physical locations on the planet or not? And what are your thoughts surrounding that?
Now, just to clarify, now you said at the same time. So do you just mean like Wednesday they're at one place and Tuesday, Thursday they're at another, or
Yeah.
okay, so you don't mean
Not a
literally
split of consciousness. No,
Okay.
they
All
are
right.
the one conscious, but they can move between locations.
Okay, that's what I wanted to.
Why is Scott a spinning circle?
I don't know, because his camera is, and yeah, there he goes. He'll be back.
He'll pop in. Yeah, he'll pop back.
And well, yeah, it's not letting his camera on, so it'll work eventually. As long as he can still talk, we're all right. And apparently, hey, there he is. Welcome back.
Sorry, I
Or
lost the
not.
connection there.
Oh, yes, you did. And that wasn't my fault. I have not touched my keyboard. So I am not the one that I did not boot you out on accident. Were you able to hear Lauren's question?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
so in a nutshell, can a spirit haunt more than one location? Can they move between locations here on Earth? Did that go through?
I have no idea.
So, yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, but you're kind of breaking up a little bit, like you have really bad internet connection. You're making like the 90s. a lot of buffering.
Hey, I don't know what's wrong.
Well, you need a better router.
Well, 5G Wi-Fi isn't good enough?
Apparently not.
Hear me?
Like, it's still the same. Like, we can hear you, but every once in a while you're like, Well, anyway. Okay, how about I go first?
I don't know what's wrong.
Why don't you disconnect and then come back in? Sometimes that works. Just a bad connection or something. I'll go and then I'll answer.
I did that once.
Oh, well.
Well, I think he's just going to do it again.
Okay.
I think that was on purpose. All right. So, do I think spirits can haunt multiple places at once? Yes, absolutely. I mean, honestly, it's just energy. You can't stop it from going anywhere. And if they're conscious enough and intelligent enough, then yeah, I think they can go anywhere they want to. I've heard Dave talk for years about when he dies, like he's going to go to Greece and he's going to go, to this place. And honestly, if that's the way it happens, I would do the same thing. I mean, I would go and visit all of the places that I wasn't able to in life. If that is possible. I mean, I think there's a learning curve. Either that or there's going to be a lot of walking involved. I mean, I wonder how many do you think, and it's kind of an offshoot question, but
I'm all for the offshoots. That's fine.
Right. But do you think that hitchhiking ghosts can get picked up by like ghost trucks? And
what's a ghost truck?
It's a spirit of a truck. Don't you ever know those urban legends or whatever? Or
no, what about for some reason, the first thing that came into my mind was like one of those storm chaser trucks, but for ghosts. And I was very confused. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Okay, that makes sense.
Oops.
Oh.
Hi, Scott.
Yay, Scott's back.
Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir,
yep.
We can. Yeah. So, I mean, I shouldn't say always, but I've come to I would not find it surprising to know that there is another another world behind ours. That everything just happens as it does in this life, only it's people who have passed on. So I'm wondering if, you know, if it is that easy to just close your eyes and, you know, poof away and then appear someplace else, or if you literally have to get into or like walk down the street or uh and get picked up by ghost trucks and ghost cars like Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'd want to get picked up by Large Marge. I think that'd be sweet. But I'm sure she's got tons of stories. But uh yeah, I definitely, I guess the question is, and this is the kind of the emphasis on a word that you use is haunt, which means activity. I'm sure people come and go tons of times. I mean, I've told this story before, uh, probably even on this show, and I know I've probably told everyone on the team, about a meeting that I was having with a former, even before Odyssey happened, at my old place in Woodbury. I had two mediums on the team at that time, and uh, we were sitting in my living room, and one of them kept glancing into my kitchen because you could see into my kitchen from the living room. And I finally asked her, "What are you looking at?" She's like, "Well, there's this nice old woman who's sitting at the kitchen table." And at first I thought, well, maybe it was my mom because my mom had passed away by that time. And I was like, could it be my mother? She's like, no. She's like, she just likes it here. And uh or she just likes your kitchen or something along those lines. It was a really nice kitchen. But in like 10, 15 minutes later, whatever, I asked again, I'm like, is the woman still there? She's like, no, she's gone. She left. So I mean, I wouldn't doubt it at all if you have spirits just passing through, that they walk right through your house because nothing really can stop them. I mean, they're not really bound by, well, oh crap, they have, I have to knock on the door. Um, I remember when Ricky was living here, uh, towards the beginning of it, uh, she asked me like if I heard all that ruckus the night before, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And apparently there was a spirit like going through all of my cupboards and opening and shutting them, slamming them or whatever. I never heard a thing. So I mean, obviously that was a medium type thing, but I guess he was confused or something along those lines. Like thought it was in his house, something. So I mean, can spirits go from place to place to place? Yes. Do they haunt multiple places? I guess only if they want to. Um, like I don't know why they would, unless it's something like they have multiple places that meant a lot to them, that where they feel they have to be there over and over and over again. So, can they go anywhere? Yes. Do they haunt multiple places? Uh, I don't. I think that would be a rarity, just because they wouldn't feel any need to. That's my answer. How about you, Scott? Since you weren't able to answer before.
Yeah. Um, I agree with you, Mike. Um, I think they can go anywhere they want to go. But like you said, why would they want to haunt multiple locations? I mean, they, if they, why would they want to haunt someplace they've never been before? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. I would think that haunt someplace at someplace that they know and they're connected to in their lifetime. Um, so, um, so I guess that's my short answer. Just agreeing with you.
That's the best answer anybody can ever have.
Uh,
I mean, this would be a really, really short show if I answered first, and then everybody else was like, "I agree with you."
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Right.
yeah. Anything
Well,
else to
it's going
add,
to be
though?
just as short as, not really for me.
Lauren, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
So because there's so many different accounts of spirits interacting with people and mediums kind of sensing what's going on. I do, like, in general agree with you guys that, like, energy knows no physical bounds. Like, you know, spirits are not withheld to, like, walls like we are. Like, I can't go bursting through the wall. Like, maybe they probably can, because
Well,
have
technically
they
you
have
can, but it's going to hurt a lot.
okay, yeah, but I should, like,
You shouldn't.
physically, it's going to take me a lot of energy to get through there because I have a physical body that is going through a physical wall. Anyway, so I agree with that portion. The thing that stumps me about this is that I've heard, like, many times, as I'm sure you guys have, that especially when there's portals present, it's like a train station and people are just coming and going, coming and going. Spirits are coming and going, coming and going, that really would have no connection to the physical location that we know of. But they're drawn to the energy that's there. Maybe it's the people that are living there or another spirit or something like that. Who knows what it is? So that kind of pops into my mind when you guys talk about, like, okay, why would a spirit want to haunt a location that it didn't have a connection to when it was living? That's the only thing that, like, pops into my mind for that. But anyway, my main thing that pops into my mind when I talk about this is the spirits that keep saying, to us at least, that they are trapped in a location. And I know we've talked about this before, that we're kind of all in agreement that maybe they just don't know how to move on. They can, but they just don't know how. So it kind of goes back to, Mike, like you were talking about, that learning curve. And a lot of times what we see is, like, a medium will come in and, like, guide them to wherever they want to go, whether that's up to heaven if they believe in that, or if they just want to go to another place here on earth. They'll, like, help them there so they can do it. They just don't know how. Yeah, I don't see why spirits, at least human spirits, can't go place to place to place to place whenever they want. Inhuman spirits kind of, in certain situations, follow different sets of rules, like the black-eyed children, whatever they are. They can't enter a location unless they are given permission to. Or, like, darker entities like that in the paranormal realm, they have to have permission, or there has to be some kind of invitation for them to enter a space, or even a person if it did get to that level. Or there has to be some kind of, unless they're, like, super powerful, I guess, there has to be some kind of invitation or some kind of boundary opening. They can't just usually go wherever they want. But I know we weren't really talking about darker non-human entities. We were talking about human spirits. But yeah, so I think it's a really interesting question that, of course, we're just theorizing here. We don't know for sure. But yeah, I appreciate y'all's input. Thank you. It's a very interesting topic to me.
There's another thing, and I didn't really think it all that important for my answer, but it still is. I guess still can be attributed to your question, and that is spirits who follow certain people. There's a lot of stories and whatnot about, especially, I'll just bring up the Newkirks. I mean, they do a spirit box session. They're like, oh yeah, that guy's from the Stanleys. Like, I hear him all over the place, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, it's always like the spirit box. And since the spirit box, if all the theories are true on that one, has no bounds either, a spirit from the Stanley can talk to whoever they want. They just have to, I guess, be connected to that energy. So, I mean, does that count as haunting another place? I don't think so, just because it's very, very temporary and they're not actually leaving their original location.
Yeah, it's like making a call. You're not leaving to go talk to the place. You're just like sending your voice over there almost.
That's pretty much it. I think that's probably the best analogy you can do. It's just like making a call. Long distance, but you know, if we can do it in the 80s, why can't they do it now? So, all right. So we're going to bring in our last who finally decided to show up.
Hi,
Hello.
Sam.
Hello.
Hi, Sam.
Way to be excited, Sam. Way to have that
I'm
energy.
tired. I just woke up.
Well, then you shouldn't be tired.
That's not how naps work for me. I'm sorry. Sorry to say.
It's quite all right. I understand. So let's get your input really quick. So Lauren, why don't you go ahead and just ask Sam your question, and we'll get his answer.
Yeah, so we were just talking about, do you think a spirit can haunt or be present at multiple locations? And like, can they move around from location to location here on Earth?
That is a interesting question. And I was here for the tail end of Mike's answer, talking about the Newkirks and the spirit box and stuff.
Well, that
like
was actually like a addition to my original answer.
I don't know. I don't know if we found any like evidence of that. We know that spirits attach to people. Like there have been many people that have had experiences with spirits attaching to them, but then they leave. So I don't really know. I haven't heard too many stories about, besides the spirit box example of like people encountering the same spirit in multiple locations. Because we don't really know how much free will you have, how much energy you have to go wherever you want to go. So I don't know. It's a very long-winded way to say I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know if I think you can be your spirit. So by this, do you mean do you think the spirits are literally at multiple places at once, or do you think they just bounce around from place to place?
More like a bouncing. So they're one consciousness. They're not separating or splitting, but they can move from place to place. So like Monday, they could be at one place. Wednesday, they could be at another.
Maybe in like very rare cases, but I don't see that being a common thing for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people would stick to one place. So I think that could happen, but I don't think it happens very often, because I can't really think of a reason why I would bounce from one place to another unless, I'm really attached to two places equally.
You're like a younger version of me, Sam. That was pretty much my answer as well.
See what happens when I don't go first? I don't steal everyone's answers.
That's all right. I that's why I go last, because I would rather have you guys steal my answers than me stealing yours or anything. But all right. So who would like to go next? I'm assuming, Sam, you don't have a topic for tonight.
I could probably come up with one by the end of the show.
All right. Scott, why don't you go? Do you have anything for us?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
It's sort of related to something we talked about before, but it's a little different. And my best friend Carolyn came up with it for me. And she got it from the New Jersey Paranormal Society. The question is, you just inherited property and found out that it's haunted. All the spirits are tortured souls. Would you exploit their suffering for the sake of profit by turning the place into a commercial ghost hunt? Or would you make no money and try to help them rest in peace?
It's almost like my question from last week when I
It's
said
similar to it, yeah.
similar, but very much more specific than mine. Mine was more of a generalized question. Who would like to go first?
Well, I mean, I think if anybody on this team had the first answer to that, they should probably not be on the team anymore. Just saying. I don't really think anybody here would do that. Yeah, I would. I'm always in the business of helping people. I'm really not in life to make money at all. I don't really have the willpower to do things just for the sake of making money. They have to be like fulfilling to me. And I think I would be more fulfilled as a person just helping the spirits move. Well, not necessarily move on, but get to a place where they are comfortable, and whether that means moving on to the other side or helping them through things that they're struggling with, then I'm willing to do that work. I happen to know some pretty good people in the paranormal community that could probably help me out with that. So
Teamwork.
Yeah, I mean, Sam kind of said it all. There's
what
a
can
million.
I say?
There's a million other ways that you could make money, and exploiting people is not one of them that anybody should do, in my opinion. But everybody's different. I get it, but whatever. I wouldn't do that. I would, as I'm sure everybody else would, like find either us, we can go in and help them, or bring a medium or whoever could best help this specific spirit that you are trying to help get to wherever it is they would like to go, or just stay and be okay kind of thing. I wouldn't exploit it. But I know it's a big issue topic, if you will, in the paranormal community is paranormal tourism. And, is it okay to be profiting off of, say, if you have like an abandoned like sanatorium or something where people were literally in a daily torture, and it's, from what we can tell, they still are in the afterlife. Is it okay to just be taking money so teams can go in there and do whatever the hell they want to? There's a lot of respect that should go into investigations and should be part of a paranormal investigator's core values. And making a quick buck off of tortured spirits that are in a location is not ideally what respect should look like. It is nice when you are, if you're trying to preserve a historic building, but you're going about it in the right ways and not exploiting any spirits that might be there, that there is an argument to be made there, because historic buildings do have issues building revenue if they don't have like events or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to look at it from a different perspective, but like Sam said, I think everybody on this team would rather help the spirits than make a quick buck and make a paranormal touristy place out of it.
I think the emphasized word here is tortured spirits. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The first option isn't an option when you're dealing with tortured spirits. You want to help them however you can, whether, as you said, moving them on or helping them through their issues and getting them to understand what their situation is and let them make that decision for themselves. If you are dealing with non-tortured spirits, let's just take the Leduc, where the spirits are there of their own free will because they want to be there, they know what is going on, then sure, if you want to charge, and then it's up to them whether they want to interact or not. I don't think that's exploiting. I think that's just opening it up. But I do agree with you that if you're dealing with tortured spirits and people and spirits who are still living that type of situation, they're unaware of what is going on. they think people coming in are like doctors that are going to hurt them and stuff. They can't see the reality of the situation. Then absolutely not. I honestly think that you should always at least try multiple times, especially if you're the owner of a place, to get the spirit's permission to open it up. One of those, do you want people to come in here and talk to you? Do you want people to talk to? I'll take the Captain Mary's Mansion that I mentioned either last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, where we went in and made a deal. We put certain places in the house where spirits could talk if they wanted to. Everywhere else was off limits. And that seemed to work amazing. All the claims, everything that we were brought in to fix got fixed. So I mean, there are ways to do everything, but if you're dealing with tortured souls, there's only one way. You got to help them until they're in a position. Who knows? I mean, if you help them out, maybe after a year or two, maybe they'll be like, yeah, bring people in. Let's have some fun. Or they'll move on. There's no haunted location anymore. But if you're dealing with tortured souls, I don't give a shit. There's only one way of doing it. And that is to help them. What about you, Scott? I mean, I know we pretty much all just said the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I'll say the same thing too. But the defining term is the tortured souls. If they're tortured, then we need to help them move over. If they're cross over, but generally, when Carolyn wrote a comment about us not being into that at the places she's going with us, but that's because those were public places, and there were not places where we would define it as tortured souls. So, it was not a place to cross anybody over at those locations. But if we go to some place that we can see that there are tortured souls, I think it's our job to help them cross over. And I think we have done that before. Yeah, if they're not tortured souls, it's not our job to force them to leave. If they choose to be there, then they have the right to stay where they want to stay, or where they have a connection. If they're trapped in the location and want to get out, then yeah, we should help them get out. I think we would be able to do that, to help them with that. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I think, Carolyn, that you are misunderstanding the difference between if we own the property or we're called in to do a job and us going to a place owned by somebody else where the rule is you are not allowed to do that. And it sucks. I mean, if there's a torture sold anywhere, we want to help. But if we're not allowed to do that, unfortunately, it's not our place to do it. And so, I mean, when you say we weren't really into helping them, that it doesn't matter whether we want to or not. Like, there are literally places where in the liability thing that you sign, you are not allowed to move spirits on. I think Velisca has that. I don't know if Edinburgh does. I think they might.
I feel like it did.
It might have.
I
Because
don't know how I feel about that.
that's the people that want to.
That does feel like exploiting to me.
Oh, absolutely. But again, we would have to be there many times to find out if they are actually tortured souls or if they're there of their own free will. Let's take Ashmore, where you came. I honestly think Joe is there of his own free will, doing his job. He's not a tortured soul. I honestly don't know if any of the souls there are actually tortured. I think they're there because that was their. It looks like a dump hole now, with cement things, but that's not exactly what it looked like when it was a running place. And there are actually pictures and things on the wall of saying, this was the one place they felt welcome. So you have to take into account the actual history of a place and not the rumor.
Yeah.
And the history that's made up to bump up the paranormal tourism to get people in there, and what actually happened. Even Edinburgh, when Ghost Adventures went there first, they made up a whole bunch of shit. When Destination Fear went there recently, they made up a whole bunch of shit to make it scary, to make it seem like there are actually tortured people there. Are there? I have no idea. I don't think so. I think any spirit at these locations, especially the ones that get visited a lot, probably understand exactly what is going on. I think you're looking at maybe a place that has never been touched, where you might find that. And it's not going to be that way for long. If you get somebody in there that wants to make money off of it. So there is a huge difference in going to a place we own or a place that we're called into, and the other way. And sometimes we are just we're not able to do what we want. Doesn't mean we don't want to, just means we're not allowed to. And that does happen, unfortunately. So, okay, I'll go. So, unless anybody else has anything they want to add.
Nope.
Okay. All right. So when we do any investigation, really, one of the questions that we ask is, and we have all kinds of different variations of it, is, do you have any messages? Do you have a message? Do you want to tell us? Do you have a message that you want to send to a loved one? Depending on the type of case we have. Obviously residential, more specific, Edinburgh, Ashmore, do you have anything you would like to tell us? Do you have any messages? If you were to pass on and you're at whatever location you're at, whether it's your old childhood home, whether it's the home you've lived in for 30 years, let's just say you pass away of old age, and a paranormal team comes in with a recorder and they ask that question. Do you have a message, something that you would like to say? You only have enough energy for one sentence or two short ones. Just add one logs, whatever you want to. What message would you say into their recorder?
I think that would depend on when I died.
True.
And but I guess if I had to refine it to if I died tomorrow.
Well, I was going to, on the horrible tragedy that something happens to one of them, next week, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say we investigate you And we're like, all right, Sam, do you have anything that you would like to say to us, or any message that in general? I mean, obviously we would send our love to our loved ones. This is not about that. This is not about say anything specific to one person. This is a generalized, like, last advice to the world type question, based on your guys' knowledge now and how you are now. Let's play some
This is a
Jeopardy.
tough
I would probably say something like love and respect everybody and give everyone a chance. Put that on a card and fucking sell it.
I would
that's all I can think
probably, if it's the team that's going to be investigating me, I would probably say, this is why you don't hear all the EVPs you don't want to hear. This is how it works. This is how I see you. This is how it looks from over here.
Except
I don't know what
you can't
I know,
say that. You only
because
get
I'm
one
not there.
sentence. You only
One
get
sentence.
one sentence.
It would be why you have not gotten a name mic on an EVP.
You would
Because
take,
once I'm
you
over
have,
there, I'll know.
You have one damn opportunity to say something amazing before you go off to the other side, and your one thing that you could say is why I don't get names.
Well, I mean, it'll give you an idea of how hard it maybe is for a spirit to communicate.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm honored that you would choose your one moment here to answer that question for me, because it really pisses me off that I don't ever get one.
I know it does.
But one of these days, I'll get one.
I know it's coming. It's coming. But anyway, so I don't know what I'd say specifically, but that sentence would be to give the team more information, because we always say when we pass away and somebody investigates, you got to tell us what's going on the other side, right?
Okay. Let's say it's not. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you go to your childhood home, or you go and you haunt the shit out of Disney.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That'd
be fun.
And you're after 1 year, you're known as the Space Mountain Spectre.
Be the Haunted Mansion Spectre.
No, that doesn't have the right ring to it. But
I'll be the 1000th ghost in the Haunted Mansion.
There we go. So,
yeah.
and they bring in a Florida team they're like, this new spirit is irritating the shit out of us. We want to know who it is and why they're here, and if you can get rid of them. So it's a completely different team, and not us.
Okay. That changes things. I'd probably say eat the chocolate, do what you want to do, live a good life,
Eat the chocolate.
Eat the chocolate. Eat the chocolate.
Thank God it wasn't drink the Kool-Aid.
No, I don't drink Kool-Aid. I eat chocolate.
Which you should.
When I can.
But Kool-Aid is still good.
They don't sell Kool-Aid at Disney World, I don't think.
Well, never mind.
They sell chocolate at Disney World. Go get a Mickey Mouse Rice Krispie treat. There you go.
Even in death, you're promoting the fucking empire that is Disney. Yeah, they need to make the fucking $2 on the Mickey Mouse. Sorry, the $8 on a Mickey Mouse Rice Krispie treat.
I'd love every second of it.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay, I'm done. Scott, what do you think?
Well, if I were going to give AVP to a team from the other side, I would probably be facetious or sarcastic, like saying, "What are you looking at me for? There's no such thing as ghosts. Ghosts don't exist. Stop listening."
You're wasting your time.
Yeah. That's what I would want to do.
That's quite good.
That'd be funny.
I approve.
You approve the one sentence, the one message that you could send out to everybody is you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Ghosts aren't real. Back it up.
They don't exist.
What about you, Mike? What is your famous last words?
I think I have 3. And the first one is you will never ever use algebra. That's one.
We already know this.
But I'm confirming it from the other side.
Okay.
Now that I know all, I know you will never use algebra. Stop watching Ghost Adventures. That would definitely be
Fuck Zach Baggins. Is that what you're gonna say?
No,
Wouldn't it be funny if they got a EVP that just said "fuck Zach Baggins"?
I'm sure they have. I know that people have gotten EVP. I mean, this was a while ago. I don't know if people still do. But at the Washoe Club, they had gotten EVPs of spirits calling him out. They actually did an episode. They had it as a promo or part of the advertising for years of him being like, "You wanted us, you got us." You know, that was from the Washoe Club, and that was because some team that was there. I don't know if they brought him up. I don't know I don't remember what the context of it was, but they had gotten an EVP of the spirits being like, "We want Baggins or Zach Baggins or whatever." No, honestly, I think that what I would say, and it really didn't matter if it's you guys or some other people or whatever. I honestly think that I would probably say never leave anything unsaid. You know, you never know when it's going to end, and which is unfortunate, but I think that would be my serious answer. Obviously, I would do the exact same thing as Scott. Is everything that I would say would be a joke or a sarcastic comment. It would be 100% to fuck with anybody that was there, as long as they had the energy to do it. But the whole point of the question was obviously you only have the energy for one thing. All right, Sam. Did you think of a topic in the time that you've been here?
No, I didn't. I'm
sorry. Fun times. So let me, because I said that we needed to do this. We might as well just do it now, live on the air. But there was a question that I posed to Dave 2 weeks ago on the Odyssey Files, and which, by the way, 5th anniversary episode is coming up.
Wow! Congrats!
This Monday, 5 years.
Damn.
Doing the Odyssey Files. But
impressive.
Thank you. And that is and you guys heard me say it to when we were at the Leduc, and when I don't want to say called out William, but kind of, and I've done this multiple times there. I haven't listened to that session yet, so I don't know if we got any answers. But if you, and obviously I already know Lauren's answer to this because she's already said it. If you were on the other side and you knew that you were investigators and that you wanted to search for answers and knowledge, and that you reached out to spirits and asked them, what is the best way to communicate with you? What questions of the other side? Why don't you get a name? Are there rules? That kind of thing. All these questions that you asked to further your knowledge and the knowledge of the field. but never get an answer. If you were on the other side and you had some, whatever team, whether it's us, whether it's somebody else, asking you those questions, would you answer? Why or why not?
I would answer. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't. I mean, I guess, oh, now we have some answers. Now, research is done. When that's not true. Research keeps going. You keep trying to find more answers to things. So, if I was able to, I would want to help out. I would want to be the person to do that, because I like being the person to actually do something. But yeah, who knows what limitations you have once you pass over, and if that would be even possible. But yes, I think I would. I would do that.
See, that's
would
it. Just
I mean, I would want to. What? I would want to. The only reason I wouldn't is if there were some kind of regulation that would prevent me from doing it. But I would EVP apparitions, whatever I was allowed to do. I mean, I'd come back and sit down and just have a conversation with you if we're allowed. But I don't know how that works and why it can't be done, or if it just takes too much energy to do it. But if it's possible to do it, if I have energy to do it, I will come back and talk to you guys. And there you go.
I've already
Lauren,
answered. You guys know I would.
well, then,
if I can, like everybody said, if the limitations would allow it, yeah, I'll come back and let you guys know what's up.
Well, then here's the follow-up question. Do you think there are limitations?
Is this for everybody or just me to answer?
Oh, that's for everybody. But you can answer first if you want.
Okay. I'm sure there are. I don't know. Well, because if there weren't limitations, I feel like somebody would have done this already. And we haven't, at least that I know of, I haven't heard of a paranormal investigator coming back and answering their team's questions once they've passed on, or somebody giving insight into what happens on the other side. That's why we're still asking this question right now. So I would assume that there are some limitations, whether that be it takes a lot of energy that they don't have, or whatever the case is over there. I don't know who enforces that. I don't know who makes those rules. I don't know. I'm sure they're there, but I don't know where they came from or what they entail. So,
I mean, when you think about it, it is kind of strange that we don't get those answers. We don't get names a lot, or ever, for that matter. And yeah, I mean, we quite rarely get direct answers to the questions that we ask. So that does give you, cause to believe that there might be some sort of limitations. But also, I think it's like an unreliable two-way phone, or like a walkie-talkie, right? I think it's really hard for them to even hear you. So it could just be that maybe they are answering, it's just not reaching us. And maybe they can't control whether we hear them or not as well as we think they can. Maybe they are trying to answer our questions, and maybe there is an invisible barrier that blocks some answers. Or maybe it's just coincidence that, we only get little snippets of things here and there, and probably not when they're intending to be heard. So Yeah, that's my best guess at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track, Sam. I think often they try to communicate with us, but we don't know how to hear them, or we're not able to perceive what they do or what they're saying, and I think that they may try and try again, but after a while they're gonna be like, why am I wasting my time if they don't hear me anyway? So I'm not gonna bother anymore. I think some of them don't know how to do it. Some of them try to do it, but we don't know how to hear them. Or I think some of us just have a mental block where we can't hear or experience that. Because I think if we're too much into the logical side of our brain, we're not going to experience them. I think that our experience of the other side comes from our emotion and our imagination. That's how they communicate with us. If our logical mind is what is costing us, then we're not going to be able to communicate with them. I think that everyone who crosses over tries to communicate with their family at some point, or tries to communicate with someone. And I think sometimes that the only way that they figure out to communicate with people is in some kind of a symbolic gesture and we don't get the symbolism. Where we don't know how to interpret it, or they communicate with us and it just doesn't sink in. Like if you, well, just for example, one time I knew that my uncle was hanging around me because I could smell his pipe. But if somebody smells pipe smoke but doesn't attribute that to somebody who's crossed over, they're not going to know that that person's communicating with them. Because we have to make the connection with what they're trying to give us. And if we don't make the connection, then we're not going to get the communication. It's just like goes right over our heads sometimes. I guess that's what I got to say about that.
And I think you're right. There's probably a lot of, I mean, the thing is I think a lot of people misinterpret everything. I think they take real signs from the paranormal and don't get it. And then they take natural things and take that as signs. And again, that comes from, knowledge, experience. I mean, that is where, you reach out to a paranormal team and ask them the questions and try to get those answers. I mean, that's where an investigation comes in. I mean, I think a lot of people have gotten the mindset, and I'm talking about the people who are not paranormal investigators, the clients. That I think people get in their heads that all the investigation is to get rid of them, and to get evidence, and then get rid of them, and that's it. That's all that we're supposed to do, and that's not the case at all. And we do an investigation not to collect scores of evidence and piss them off and then leave. And then, maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll be back. And maybe then we'll get rid of it while you deal with all of the backlash from it. That is not what we do. We just go to try to figure out what is going on. And that is it. And then from there, we decide with you, the client, what you want to do. And typically by the end of an investigation, at least with us, and I know there are some other teams who do this as well, and a lot that don't. But, we want everybody to coexist together. If that's possible, that's the best scenario. And I have never, ever in my entire career left a place where things got worse after we were there. I think in every single instance, every single case, things had gotten better after we were there. Because we talk to them. We find out what's going on as best we can. And even if we don't get any evidence, we still get our point across, whether they want to communicate with us or not. You guys have heard me do it tons of times. I go into old monologue mode and explain what needs to happen. I don't care if I get evidence or not, as long as shit stops or goes to the point where the client no longer cares. And that has happened too. I've investigated a house of investigators of mine, and who were on the team at the time. They weren't part of the investigation, but afterwards, they were scared shitless. Like, they thought they were being haunted and attacked and blah, blah, blah. And like, no, this, and this. Here's what our investigation turned up. Here's the evidence that we collected. Here's what we think is going on. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. After that, I even asked them, like, is anything going on? It's like, yeah, every once in a while the basement door opens. We don't care. It's the knowledge that is important, and that's why we investigate. Once you understand what is going on as a client, fear drops away. And because, as everybody knows, everybody's terrified of what they don't understand. That is where we come in. That is our job. Our job is to help you understand and get the knowledge that you were looking for. I don't understand, and I have people that do it, friends that do it on other teams, where it's like, yeah, we got called, we're going out to do a clearing. Like, no investigation, no nothing. Just, we're going out, we're clearing the house because that's what the clients want. Okay. If that's the way they want to do it, there's nothing I can say about that. I don't agree with it. But to each their own. So, with that said, that's it. I'll get off my soapbox now. But yeah, so I think that the stigma of what paranormal investigation is being broadcast as is wrong. I also don't agree with TAPS. TAPS is about as close to us as you can get while being on TV, but it doesn't flipping matter what is going on during an investigation. At the end, there's nothing to fear. Call us if you need us. I've never done that either. If there's nothing to fear, there's nothing to fear. But if there's something going on, there's something going on. And that's what I'll tell you. But yeah. So anyway, that's it. Does anybody have anything to add before we go?
No.
No.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank everybody for coming in and watching. And Scott suddenly disappeared there. But we'll be back next week with a brand new episode of the Odyssey Hour. And obviously tune in Monday night anyway, for the 5th year anniversary show It's going to be amazing. So, yeah. Anyway, everybody stay healthy, stay safe. Want to see you back here next week. Have a great evening.